Jeremiah Da Rosa. Oh my gosh, my brother. Thank you so much for saying yes to coming on Gutsy Chick podcast and speaking to us about sound healing, music in the subconscious, and all the crazy things that you and I have been doing together in a very short period of time.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. It's an honor to be with you and all of your listeners.
Yes. Well, okay. You guys, he's a Juilliard-trained musician, vocalist, internationally renowned performer. Like, I love that I get to be in community with you, but also be trained by you. So, you guys, I'm in his sound temple. We'll talk about that. Oh, but we had our first call for that particular thing. And I was so blown away and blown out and just like had to sit down because normally I stand. I'm standing during this podcast recording. I don't normally sit during calls, but during the Temple of Sound first call, Jeremiah blew me out of the water. It was amazing. And we just came off of a trip to Hawaii where we did ceremony morning and afternoon for 6 days.
That's right.
Okay. So the first question I have for you is how in the world did you go from a Juilliard-trained world-class musician to the Temple of Sound, teaching people how to activate their own voices, and of course, being a sound healer for people? How'd you do that?
Such a great question. And I think we can all reflect on our life. And there are moments where we can look back and be like, oh, that makes sense now. That all of those years and all of those decisions, that makes sense now. But I can tell you for a lot of years, it did not make sense. I'll tell you why. It made sense for most of my life in that the desire to feel connected, to the invisible, but also the visible in a way that only my body really understood. And this manifested as being a small child in the woods, like singing nonstop while swinging on a swing set. Like literally, I would swing for hours, sing, and I would just go into these ecstatic states of union. And I grew up in a Christian home, so the only words I knew were, Jesus words. So I would just come back to my mom after this, like crying, like, I just love Jesus so much. Like those are the words that the language I had to describe these experiences.
Yeah.
And that led to, okay, well, how do I merge with this desire as I grew older? And my brain manifested the vision of dancing. And so I studied ballet for a short period of time because as soon as I was in the class, I was like, oh, it's not moving my body to the music. I need to be inside of the music. I need to be making the music. It was so clear. And so at 5th grade, I was like, great, music, we're going. And the flute chose me and I chose the flute. There was no negotiations. It was just one of these knowings from a deep place. And it was off to the races. Yeah, when you find something you love at whatever age, and it's a fit. And I was so obsessed with like, I can move my fingers and all this music comes out of this metal tube. This is amazing.
Oh my gosh. So that's what you went to Juilliard and played.
That's what I studied. And I had a secret though that whole time.
Which was?
That I secretly wanted to be a singer.
Oh my gosh. That never came out the entire time you were in New York at Juilliard.
It did in surprising ways. In a couple ways. So interestingly, if you want to nerd out for a moment.
Yes, of course.
The flute is the closest to the human voice of all the instruments. So instinctually, I was choosing something like, because there's nothing in your mouth, there are no strings. It is literally like you take a breath, you make, an opening with your mouth, and what comes out is what makes the sound. So similar to what's happening in the vocal cords with the vocal tract. Okay, it's great. But here I was at Juilliard being recognized for the voice of my flute playing, but and I was surrounded by the best up and coming opera singers in the world, you could argue. And
Right?
so, this type of pathway that is so devoted to specificity and tradition, it's really hard to give yourself permission to follow your other desires. And I see this with my clients. I see this everywhere. We have a desire to do something or be something or explore something or create something in the world. And our mind interprets that desire in a vision that is inherited by what we see around us,
Mhm.
in the models of our peers, our ancestors, those who are successful. We look to the people who are making the money, who are getting the fame, and like how'd they do it? My vision, my desire has to match that vision. So I was definitely living in that box that I chose for myself. And have you hung out in New York City much?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you know that in New York City, anything can happen.
Yes.
It is
Literally.
a vortex, and you never know where you're going to end up in the
Truth.
night and who
That
you
is
might
so
meet.
true.
So, as you do as a musician, I would end up at musician parties and I would meet people. And I was at this amazing loft in the Garment District
Mhm.
with fellow creative musicians. And I met this Broadway singer who was super cool, like leather pants, super chic. She was older than me and just like fabulous. And we were like vibing about music. And I was just talking to her about singing because I'm secretly obsessed with singing. And I was like, hey, do you think you could maybe if I took voice lessons with you, that would help my vibrato, like these aspects of flute playing that are very vocal. And she's like, come have a lesson. So I started having lessons on the side,
With?
paying for it with my student loan money.
Oh my God. That's how that goes. Oh my gosh.
And she is still my vocal coach all these years later. Yeah, yeah. So that's a big part of the story. It's
That is.
following my desire no matter what.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea that the flute was that close to. Is it the same tone?
What do you mean by tone? That's a great question.
Oh, that is a good question. I'm not a musically inclined human. I,
But you are.
I am. But when it comes to the language, this is where Pete. So I would
Mm,
say like notes. Is it the same notes for a flute that your voice? Because isn't your like from a vocal range perspective?
range.
Yeah, it's the same range.
Especially for female bodied singers or female or not even female, there's a lot of males who can do really high
Higher.
things.
Yeah.
Um so for me, my range is definitely lower than the flute, and then I overlap by oof about an octave we share if I'm in my highest register. And then for the highest coloratura sopranos, that's a fancy Italian term for the highest pitch singers. The flute goes probably like a fifth, like maybe a fifth or sixth higher than that. So yeah, so the
Oh, flute's
flute is a
got
bit
higher
higher than the
range.
human range, but the flute is within, yeah, the higher human range.
That is so okay. So if you tended to sync your voice to the lower range, how come you didn't pick another instrument?
Oh, this is great. This is great. So, you have a quiz.
Oh
I
yeah.
have a quiz
Yes,
about
you do.
archetypes, and the and in it, so it's actually really fun. Um, the instruments you choose are so much an archetype of who you are.
Tell me more. I
So
know I know what I am on your quiz. Okay, you guys. His quiz is jeremiahdarosa.com/quiz.
you can find out your voice's healing lineage. What lineage, ancient lineage channels through your voice, and there are 4 types, and they're amazing. They're amazing.
Right?
And they're anchored. I give you some Egyptian goddesses to help anchor them if you're into the Egyptian things, and if not, you get to be activated into some Egyptian magic. But yeah, it's how your voice, because we have all these pre Well, we just talked about it. Range. It's like
Range.
either you're a soprano, an alto, a tenor, a bass, or you sing jazz, or you sing classical, or you sing, rock, or whatever. That's like kind of the genres of voice we have, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not. No, how we show up with our voice is very different. And there's
Mm-hmm.
specific healing gifts and also specific challenges for each of those types. And when you know that, you get to like kind of take a deep breath and be like, oh my God, I don't have to be Adele, or like, oh my God, I could be Adele, in my own
Right?
version of.
Yes. Okay. So you and I are an Enchantrix on your quiz.
Yes,
What?
yes.
So you've already said I've got the lower range. I play cello. So
Mm,
I've been practicing learning. I am very beginner uh, of cello. And that to me is my range. That's the range that I like to be in. I like that deeper range.
yeah.
How does Enchantrix play into the cello? And then how does Enchantrix play into the flute?
Yeah, I think well, they're both great examples. And I think also we're starting to weave a couple different energetic things that are happening with music and the music and the tones we gravitate towards,
Mm-hmm.
and how this lineage can show up within that. For the flute, it's a little easier because the flute is a higher ranged instrument. It's easier to hear. It rides the top of the orchestra. It
Mm-hmm.
has a bright silvery sound or metallic sound, so it cuts through a lot of the lower frequencies or mid frequencies if it is written to do so in any given moment in relationship to what it's being played with.
But most people can pick out the flute if you're not
Right.
trained, right? The
Right.
cello's not as easy to pick out.
That's right. That's right. And to have some fun, the flute players are generally like a bit of a diva. They are perfectionists. They are competitive. They want to
How did I
stand
not?
out. They care about how they dress. They can be catty. They can also be extremely hardworking. They're extremely precise. They are over the top. They can be eccentric, and they can be exacting, and they make good business people.
Ooh,
Type A. They are type A.
they're type A.
Violinists also are this kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Cellists they're like that, but cooler.
I always pictured myself as doing a stand-up bass. And like cello's the next closest thing. Throw a bow in there. We're on the same track.
Yeah,
And I always like when I see people who play stand-up bass, that's the word I use for them. They're just cool.
they are.
But as I play cello, I'm not sitting there thinking I look cool. I'm sitting there thinking I have this ginormous instrument at a very low tone between my legs.
And well, what's funny is if I had to pick a string instrument, it would be the cello. It would not be the violin, even though that would be the equivalent of the flute, or a good translate or good
Yeah.
translation of that. The cello is, well, it's old. It's an old instrument in terms of its current body shape, and it has a lot of incredible music written for it by some of the world's greatest Western classical composers, which have given it a lot to do. Like it gets given it a lot of voice, where some of the other instruments that are kind of in a low or mid range, like the double bass, it doesn't really have concerti. I mean, like these pieces that are for a solo double bass and orchestra, or there's not a lot of moments where it gets to be featured. It's not a featurey type instrument, but the cello can do all of that. It can do bass lines, supporting roles, and it can be the star of the show. It is one of the instruments that really can do it all.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the movie August Rush? Came out in the 90s,
Oof.
had Robin Williams in it, but it was about a little kid who had this orchestra brain and he was an orphan. And his mom was a cellist and his dad was a guitarist and lead singer in a band. And I remember her sitting there playing cello out in front of the orchestra. And I was going, that. I like that. Yeah.
Yep. That's how this works.
Yeah.
That, when like, that's for me. That's for me.
So that's the Enchantrix piece
Yes.
for me.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. You guys go, like, if you've never seen August Rush, I cannot advocate for that movie enough. It didn't do well in the box office. It wasn't a huge hit, but it is so good. The music in it is phenomenal.
Mm. And Robin Williams. I mean,
And Robin
come on.
Williams. Yeah,
Genius.
exactly.
He went to Juilliard.
He did. Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right.
Yes, he did. Did he graduate from Juilliard? That might be another question.
That made me another question. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so on my quiz, you're a chillster.
And that's so ring true.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second because you're my only chillster on the podcast so far. And chillsters are few and far between, but I'm surrounded by them. My husband's a chillster. My daughter is a bruiser, so she's the same as me, which is it makes for interesting butting heads. Oh, and side note, the reason that Grace wanted to play cello is so both of us are learning together. It was from the show Wednesday on Netflix. Paint It Black and Nothing Else Matters are the two songs that she wants to learn how to play on cello. Yeah.
That's adorable.
Paint It Black is it Rolling Stones?
I don't remember.
Oh, I have to look it up now. But Nothing Else Matters is Metallica.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
I'm going, we're going to play this on I can't wait to be able to play this on cello. I digress.
Into good things.
So Chillster.
Chillster.
The Chillster on the Gutsy Chick pod, or that's what we're on, Gutsy Chick quiz, is the one who really takes their time to make decisions. And like my husband is a chillster. And I know what it's like to live with this human. I don't embody this at all. I'm sure I do in some regard somewhere because we always embody all of the archetypes, but this one's the lowest on my list. As a chillster, how did that help you be a sound healer?
Listening. Yeah.
That's the strategist piece. Like if you have to listen for a long time too.
Yeah.
In order to be able to pick up the full puzzle.
Yeah. And it's this relationship. Well, I think it brings up trust. And I'm not saying that chillsters or listeners have a better relationship with trust. I think every archetype has its own system of trust.
Yes.
But for me, it's this listening and this relationship with my body and what I do to where, I know when it's time to move, or I know when it's time to change the frequencies, or I know because I'm listening and I'm in this relationship like a figure eight of sound and silence that is. And as an enchantrix, someone who wants to be like pumping out the star frequencies, the star of the show, sometimes that's too much. And sometimes what makes it special is when you wait and you listen and you know when to bring what is necessary. So it's knowing when to open, when to create, like a harmonic tension so that something can open, and that you're really becoming this master weaver, but it's because you are listening.
I love that. My husband is phenomenal when it comes to reading people and being very intuitive, but it really he takes his time to divulge what he thinks. And I so appreciate that because I'm the bruiser. I'm the opposite. I'm like, we're going to go straight at what's going on here. Here's what I see. And there you go. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Let's talk about music a little bit because this is something near and dear to me. I know that music has a way of changing how our bodies and our minds operate. And it's because the subconscious can't filter what we're hearing.
Right.
What do you know about that topic?
Yeah. Wow. Well, it comes from my own experience being in deep relationship with music for so long, in a way that I'm also thinking about it a lot, not only receiving it as a part of the pleasure of life, and then watching watching and observing the relationship of people that come to my sound healing events, who receive my work at, the highest level, or just like on YouTube, for instance, you can listen to some of my work. And what's fascinating is the response range. For instance, some sounds can trigger the most blissful, euphoric states. And it's like, like you said, you're hitting the subconscious and the nervous system is responding immediately.
Immediately. Yeah.
Immediately. And then information rises into the mental body of like what this is, what is happening, memories it might be associated with, all kinds of stuff. And also, I've witnessed the same sounds elicit like anger and grief and frustration. One of my favorite sounds to talk about is like when someone or I make a kind of a guttural sound, something that's really deep and growly. Some people are like, "Oh my gosh, that is so grounding. That is so like connects me to my deepest nature, that connects me to nature." It's like the sound of a volcano or a sound of the earth splitting or creation happening. And other people have looked at me and be like, there is dark demonic energy in this room now that that sound has been uttered. And I'm like,
Ooh.
yes, bring it, bring it, bring it. Tell me all the things, because in this place we get to witness the belief systems that have been created in our stored in our subconscious. Because when I take you into the temple of sound, which you've just entered,
Mm-hmm.
what is there on the top of the temple? And this is an etheric temple. By the way, if anyone's like, where do I
Where
go?
did we go?
But on the top of the temple, it says, all sounds are beautiful. All sounds are holy. And this is something I believe and I have faith in. This is something I choose. And it's something that everyone can choose. You don't have to agree with that. You don't have to agree with what this temple says. You don't. You can choose to believe that everything is beautiful, everything is holy. And from that place, you also get to, it reflects back to you. All of this reflects back to you. Like, are you saying, if you're saying that some part of nature is evil, well, then you're saying there's some part of you that believes part of you is evil. And that's fascinating and something to, I'm not judging you. Go for it. Like, let's explore that. Let's see what else is there. And the sound can do this like nothing else. It's like a lightning strike. It is sort of neutral in that it is just energy. Yes, whoever's creating it has a lot of intention that they're weaving behind it, but when it enters your body, it is energy. And what it interfaces with is all the structures of your subtleness and denseness. And from that births an experience that you can move through and choose your own pathway through for healing, for embodiment, for happiness, wholeness, magic, all of it.
And you facilitate all of that.
Yeah.
Where's a good place, a good sample that people can listen to your sound healing? Is it on YouTube? Is it on your website? Where do we send them so that they can get a solid, this is Jeremiah and how he helps me heal?
Yes, I would YouTube. I have some harmonizations, some infusions, sonic bridges, if you will. Like these, yeah, you can imagine when you listen, even before you listen, like, hey, what am I up to? What do I want? What is my
What do I
desire? Back to
need?
desire.
Yes.
And, that desire could just be like, I want to open myself up to receive these vibrations and see what's here for me. It could be as simple as that. Or it could be like, okay, he just released an Isis infusion.
Mm.
I'm curious about this archetype of the Great Mother. Like, I don't know a lot about her. I would like to connect with her or connect with that energy that is available to me. That is mine to receive. That's one of my prayers always. Like, please show me what's mine to see. What is mine to do? Because we're not here to do everything or to see or be or all the things. We're here for what's ours.
Mm-hmm.
That helps create a bit of a container. And then with that, okay, you get clear on your desires. Then listen. then listen. And the first time you listen, let it be a bit ceremonial. Like, take a moment, be in your space, be in your body, and then allow the sound to enter your body. I mean, it will whether you want it or not.
Yep. Your subconscious won't filter it.
And here's the invitation. Instead of being like immediately judging, like, oh, this is not my vibe or this isn't for me, is to, well, great, stay with that feeling and stay with the track. Allow the track to present to you whatever it needs to present in your own field. And that could be like, whoa, this is so incredible. I have no idea what's happening. Or this is so frustrating. I don't know what's happening. And then be there with it. Be there with it. And then take some breaths, check in with yourself. And I'd recommend listening again, listening again. And then listening maybe like the next day and maybe in a couple days, like this rhythm. And then the song being, I often call them song beings, becomes this mirror, like this mirror of your own growth and your relationship with that piece of music, that song being ends up blossoming into something. And you receive personalized song beings from me, and so you are very much initiated into this type of work where you are in partnership with sound on a very intimate level.
Yes. Yes. And oh my gosh. I love that every time you send me a new sound being, you say, let your guides guide you when to listen to it, where to listen to it, how you're going to be when you're listening to it, like sitting down, standing, running. Haven't done that in a while. But that invitation to get conscious before taking in that sound being, that song, that instrumental magic that you make. And then afterwards going, all right, I got to go journal now.
Right.
I've got to go put this down on paper, or I've got to go talk to a friend, or I need to process that, because almost every single time something has gotten churned.
Right.
So there's your challenge, you guys. Jeremiah just laid the groundwork for you. Go to his YouTube. The link is in the show notes, and listen to one of his songs and let it pick you.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
Yeah. You've taught me that. You've totally taught me that. And, when it comes to listening to music now, whether it's, I very rarely listen to music on the radio because I don't have control of what I'm going to hear. When I'm picking songs to go on my playlists, that there's intent behind it, always. And that's another challenge for all of you. When you're picking the music that you're listening to, be conscious, because your subconscious can't filter what they're saying or how they're presenting that music. And if it is harsh, expect to have harsh feelings show up, like Jeremiah was just saying. I love that you point out that the shadow is totally okay.
Yeah.
We need it. We need that dark. It immediately made me think of the SNL with Lady Gaga most recently. And it became super controversial because she did some priestess ritual in a skit. And that stirred some crap for people.
Right.
And that's what she was going for.
Right.
Because that's Lady Gaga. Her music is happy, mid, and low, deep, dark.
Yeah.
So, that's what you get with an artist like that.
Yeah. No, this speaks to music as medicine versus like pacification. It's being really conscious, like you said, about the music we choose to consume, just as we would the food. And I imagine all of your listeners are very much concerned about like the food that they're taking in, the nourishment, balancing their digestion, having the energy that they need to do all the things they want to do, to tending the body. And it's this music is the same. It's exactly the same. And yes, you can absolutely pick music to go out and have a beer with, right? To relax, to chill out. Yes, please.
Country.
And the music we choose to be at the gym with to help support that energy of building strength. or running for a long period of time. Yeah, me either.
Not my jam, but there's definitely plenty of people who listen to this podcast that are marathon runners, ultra runners. More power to you. That's not my jam. You guys know that.
Right, and within that, people have done the science of what beats per minute are for these different activities. What type of chordal structures, what types of harmonies supports these types of behaviors. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm leveraging what's already in our current psyche, and then also tuning into through my imagination of like what else what else is in there, what else from like the past, from our ancestors, what else can I weave to elicit these responses, to invoke these openings, these portal openings within your own body, so that you can have the things you want to have, the experiences you want to have, the growth you want to have.
Yeah. The Temple of Sound. So we've got this cohort right now. When do you open your next cohort?
July.
Okay. So that's good timing. This episode goes out at the end of May, so I'm guessing you're probably going to be advertising that on your website. But this Temple of Sound, give us a little bit more about what it is and who belongs in the Temple of Sound.
Yeah. Okay. If you're someone who has, like I did, the secret desire to sing, and maybe you don't even know what you want to sing, but you want to sing, and you have been told somewhere along the road that your voice isn't great, or you've decided through whatever reflections of your own growing up that like, my voice isn't beautiful enough, I'm not the singery type, I'm too loud, I'm too soft, I don't sing in tune,
Tone deaf.
I'm always off key,
Mhm.
I always sound bad, all these kind of beliefs about your voice. And then
Mhm.
also that turns into like, you don't love doing public speaking, you don't always like showing up in your full power, you don't love being seen all the time, um, and there's this desire within all of that to help, to use your voice to help, to serve, to find. It's almost like the people who come to the temple are kind of like this place where like they're exhausted. They're
Mm.
exhausted from like holding on to this like barrier, this protection of like, this isn't for me, but the desire is so strong and they don't know where to channel it, but they want to help. They want to use their voice. They know that maybe they're not going to be singing opera arias. They get it. They're like, that's not my path, but there's got to be another way. There's a place for my voice. And I'm like, they're here at the temple. The temple is where your voice is going to be finally seen, heard.
Mhm.
And then in this place, you will completely align yourself into this place of like, oh, harvesting all the wisdom from all of those old beliefs and fears. And you will step into this centered self-power that only can come from when you are in right relationship with who you are and the voice that expresses that. There's no other, because it's within your own body. There's nothing outside that can do this for you. It has to happen within. It is a root chakra, throat chakra relationship that is a perfect fifth. That is a perfect interval. And when that interval is in tune,
Mm.
you can do anything.
Yeah. I was told that I was tone deaf, that I didn't have rhythm,
Oh my
that
God.
right? And I'm like, well, I'm an athlete. I know rhythm.
Oh, yes, if you can walk, you have
Yes,
rhythm.
you have rhythm. Exactly. Your rhythms, every walk is different.
And if you
That's
can't walk, if you brush your teeth, I mean, life is rhythm. Life is musical. Yeah,
I love that you point that out. People need to hear that because
they do.
those are the things that we've been told.
Music has
Yeah,
become this like elitist thing. Like there's an elite aspect to it, especially
there is.
Western classical music,
Yes.
wherein when we look at indigenous or cultures that have music practices, communal practices, community practices around music, it's everyone's involved, everyone's singing, everyone's dancing, everyone's drumming. This is our ancestry. That's what's in our bones, is
Mm.
singing together, no matter what your voice sounds like. Also having the times to be the leader of the song, to be one of the supporters, to be the drummer. Everyone gets to do all the bits. And that's what the temple sound is about, is finally like facing those fears, which is the most amazing initiation. And then on the other side of that is like really discovering what is the healing power of my voice? What am I going to do with it? And the people who come are already doing transformational work like you.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not do sound healing the way I do it, but they find their own way. And it might even just show up on how they present themselves on social media, how they present themselves to their family and friends. And they might start, I have clients who are, Reiki healers, energy healers, who now are sounding in their sessions and having incredible results, because as we just spoke of, sound and energy combined with intention, I mean, sound is the first law of manifestation in most cosmic traditions. So like we're leveraging that, like what we say, what we express is the reality that we create.
We are gonna do a whole nother episode on that. I am excited about that. Yes. Yeah. Jeremiah, love you.
I love you too. Thank you. And it's so good to be with you and all of your listeners.
Same. It's always good to be in your presence.
Equally.
Yay! You made it to the end of the episode. Good job. Now, go share this with your friends. Go like, subscribe, leave me a review. Let me know that you like what's happening here on the Gutsy Chick podcast. And if you're a female high performer with mysterious chronic health condition, go check out the Gutsy Chick quiz so you can find out what might be holding you back from healing. And if you want more on what I do with my clients and my blog and any podcasts that I've been a guest on, go to bodywhisperhealing.com. Thanks for listening.